What's going on, everybody? Eric Barassa here, and today I want to talk about Joe Satriani's first comic book, Crystal Planet Issue 1. This was released in April of 2021. I pre-ordered it. I don't know if it was maybe November, December, or January. It was several months ago, and it actually arrived on my birthday, April 23rd. And Joe Satriani being my favorite guitar player, I was like, thank you for this thoughtful birthday present, Mr. Joe. Mr. J. Let's take a look. It came in a, with a traditional comic book bag and board. And for those of you who don't know, two of my favorite things in the world are Joe Satriani's music and comic books. I am an avid comic book collector, and I go to the comic book store every week. So when my favorite guitar player said he was releasing a comic book as well as an action figure, which hasn't arrived yet, I was tickled. So anyway, it came in a traditional comic book bag and board, although I don't know why they didn't tape the top. It would have been nice if this would have come sealed, because now this is all like, on top, which is not a big deal. So it's in great condition. It's perfect. No bends or anything. A really nice cover. Very shiny, very 90s, with that shiny foil cover, really thick, so it's not easy to bend. Great looking cover, I think. And then on the back, I love the way this back looks. This is so cool, with the guitar, and obviously this was made on a computer. And then down here at the bottom, you can see it's numbered. They made 1,998 of these to represent the year that the Crystal Planet came out, the year 1998. So mine is number 288 out of 1,998. Yes, dude! That puts me almost in the top 10%. Okay, so we open it up and it says a Crystal Planet. This is a thick book. It was $20, and then plus shipping. I think all in all, between the comic book for $20, the action figure was $30, and then after shipping was like $10 or $15 for both together. I think I spent like $60 to $65 total for everything. I was like, $20 for a comic book? Well, when you get this thing, it's thick, and the fact that it's a limited run and they numbered them, that's pretty cool. Well, what I discovered was the comic book is a regular issue length of a comic book. So the issue only goes to about here. It's like 25 pages. It looks like normal comic book length. Well, the whole, more than second half of it is behind the scenes stuff. So they show you, how the origin of the book, how it got started, how it originated. I guess the idea was they took these characters and they created this little story that Joe had kind of worked up, and they thought, what if we fleshed this out into a cartoon or a movie or something, and it ended up being a comic book. So they give you kind of some of the behind the scenes for the settings that they used, how they created the companies and the planets, and then they also show you, apparently there was an older comic book that had some Joe Satriani covers. He was incorporated into this series called Eternal Descent. And you can see there's even a Crystal Planet cover. No, not that one. This one here. So those are pretty cool. That might be kind of fun to hunt these down. And then this is the kind of stuff I wish more comic books would do. They give you kind of a bio of each of the characters in the story. And that's pretty neat. I dig that. Okay, and then what else do they give you? They give you some kind of behind the scenes with the art and everything, and then of course a couple of ads for the company that put this out for some heavy metal pinball machines, and then of course an ad from Ibanez for Satriani's Chrome Boy. But I think they go for $10,000 to $12,000 a pop. So. I don't think I'm their target audience for that particular guitar. Okay, so let's talk about the story here, because even though this, I think, is a cool piece of Joe Satriani memorabilia, and I'm definitely going to display it in my office next to the action figure when it comes in, is the story a captivating read? I used to be able to be entertained by pretty much anything, and I like to try to find the good in everything. I don't like to poo-poo on stuff. You know how you have some people who just like, no matter what is released, whether it's a movie or a comic book, they'll be like, I'm the biggest fan of this, but I hate the way they treated this character. I hate the way they did this. And all they do is poo-poo all over it. It's like, it gives them some sense of validation to just find the worst in everything. I don't want to do that, but at the same time, the more my time becomes limited, I have less patience for things that are not immediately gripping and stories that are not well developed, in my unprofessional opinion. It starts off, okay, now this is kind of cool. They give you a Spotify playlist to listen to as you're reading the issue and kind of the origin of those songs. I think that's really cool. It's got Crystal Planet, that song, which is awesome. In my opinion, Crystal Planet is Joe's single best album. We'll talk about that another time. It's got Devil's Slide from Engines of Creation. Great song. Back to Shala Ball from Flying in a Blue Dream. Incredible. Not of This Earth from Not of This Earth. Not of This Earth, I think, is one of his best songs. Gna from Is There Love in Space, another of my favorite albums of his. And Gna, I know that song note for note, and I'm a big fan of it. And then Bamboo from Is There Love in Space. Bamboo is not one of my favorite songs, but it is really cool. If you've got the 8 minutes of patience for it, it develops really well. But that's probably my least favorite song on this playlist. So it starts off with this epic space war. Just talking about the art, I like the colors a lot. The drawing style is very like 90s. Reminds me of some of the 90s X-Men stuff I grew up with. So you've got this battle happening. I don't yet care. Okay, the action's kind of cool, but I'm like, okay, well, what? Well, you find out it's the main character having a dream, and he's not sure if it's like a memory or if it's kind of real or what's happening. And then we find out that his dad used to be in a band, and his dad is kind of MIA, and he's kind of a drunk, and he doesn't like his dad. Well, now he works for his childhood friend, Sarah, this spicy lady. He works with her and her dad. Her dad owns this big tech company, and his dad was in the band with his dad, and they had a big falling out. So the band stuff feels a little on the nose. I would have liked for Joe to have maybe stayed away from that and just like, let's have some epic space adventure. But the fact that they bring in music and the guitar and stuff, that said, I've written my own share of comic books to go with my music that involves a hero that has a guitar that he uses to fight evil. So, who am I? Who am I to judge? They have this big launch party for the company, their new product that's coming out. I don't remember what Nullify. It's called the Nullifier or something, which I think is a thing from Fantastic Four, but or they call it Nullify. So some things happen. He's getting some visions, and then all of a sudden his dad shows up unannounced at the party, and it all just a lot of it feels very like just random, and it either the story needs more time to develop or they just needs better transitions, because events that are happening throughout this book don't feel earned. They just feel like, okay, now this happens and then this happens. And it's like, well, where did that come from? I don't know anything about this character. And then we're introduced to the drummer that was in that band, and he's sort of like, listen, they've tried to sweep it under the rug, but your dad was secretly a hero on another planet, and he wasn't crazy. He's not just a drunk. I mean, he is, but he was a hero in another life. And, like, we fought evil together as a band on another planet, something like that. And then we also have the relationship with Satchel, the main character. I think that's a great name, actually. It's a really good comic book character name. And, of course, also, obviously, a play on words from Satriani's nickname, Satch. So his friend Sarah, they're like friends, and of course she's fine AF, because that's, it's a comic book. You got to make everybody super good looking. And they're just like playing video games together, and then all of a sudden they kiss, and Sarah's like, I want this. And Satchel's like, no, you remember what happened last time. I don't think we should. And I just kind of don't believe their relationship at this point. And this series, which I believe is going to be a 3-issue miniseries, and I see why they did that. I feel like this should be like a 25-issue series. It just needs a little more time to breathe and develop these characters. Okay, so then Satchel's dad mysteriously dies, and I'm sure I'm leaving things out. I'm doing this as best I can from memory and just sort of flipping back through the pages. His dad mysteriously dies, and the doctor's like, it's as though he just sat down and died. And the visions that Satchel was having of his father talking to him are kind of like disappearing. And then some mysterious agent shows up. And here, when people are just talking, just in my opinion, the art feels a little stiff. That being said, when I draw, I like to try to draw 30 to 60 minutes a day. When I'm just trying to draw my own characters, my stuff looks way stiff. It's not great. So I don't want to be a hypocrite criticizing somebody else's art when I'm really not very good at it myself. But the characters do feel a little stiff when they're kind of standing around talking. I think they're drawn really well when in the action scenes. Then you get this drummer who seems to be kind of the missing piece to helping Satchel sort of figure out what's going on. And then he's like, oh my gosh, what has happened? We got to find the time shredder. Satchel's like, I got to find the time shredder. And I'll be honest, I have no idea what's happening on this last page. It was kind of confusing. And I'm like, I kind of don't understand the story that well. It's not, I feel like a really good, well-written story, you should be able to summarize pretty succinctly, pretty easy. And it feels like there's almost too much happening and also not enough happening at the same time. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with issues 2 and 3. I do like this preview for the next issue, that cover, the Time Shredder. That's a really sweet looking cover there. All right, well, that's it. I'm sorry, my thoughts were kind of all over the place, but that's sort of a summary of Crystal Planet issue 1. You can kind of see what it looks like in the flesh from Incendium. That's it. Okay, guys, if you dug it, stick around. Stay tuned for more. Be sure and like and to subscribe, because I will be posting my kind of impromptu review of issues 2 and 3 when they come out, as well as I'll be showing you the action figure when it comes in, and we'll continue to talk about Joe Satriani and punk rock and all things guitar related. The Dallas Guitar Show is next weekend, so I'm looking forward to hopefully picking up a couple things there, and then doing some pickup swaps and a few guitars and testing those out. So stay tuned for more. And as my great Aunt Sarah always says, if it's not crystal, then is it really a planet?